silent, but I shan't be anymore. I have had enough of servitude, I've had enough of war. I shall rise into the night. God bound, I've burned upon the stake. The home where I've had all that I will take. You think I have no voice, but that is your mistake. I shall rise into the night. I shall campaign until justice flows like a waterfall. I shall go beyond your borders and batter down your walls. I shall rock the halls of power. All in my way will fall. I shall rise. I shall rise. I am sitting at the table. I am taking off the mask. I am demanding justice. Is that too much to ask? Though my goal may seem impossible, I am up to the task. I shall rise into the night.
1 a.m. This is Attorney Cheney Mason, Winter Park, Florida, returning a call from Jacqueline. And it's confusing to me. It says justice for Katie case, child rape case against Trump. She's donated. Should she continue? I know nothing about any donations, nor should it be done. There'd be no reason to. We filed a lawsuit, and then at the last minute, the client backed out. She was too afraid to proceed. It was dismissed, case over.
As much as I try to forget about everything that happened, it seems to overshadow everything. I don't think I've ever had a successful relationship, one where I felt I could truly trust another person. At first, I tried to file my case on my own. Big mistake. I couldn't use my real name or address. Hell no. I was still too afraid after all these years. I still remember the threats. He got so angry. I just asked where she was. I didn't mean I would go to the police. I just wanted to go home. I was just a kid. And I really didn't think it would get that bad and that it would hurt so much. It sucks. And it shouldn't have happened, not to me, not to her, not to anyone. Tiffany lied to me. And that hurt. Because I thought she was so beautiful and sophisticated, so confident and cool. Everything I wanted to be someday. I really wanted her to like me and mentor me. I really thought. So I took a chance, and it was like, wow, look at me and look at this incredible, beautiful place. I can do it. I won't let her down. Like she said, all I had to do was believe in myself.
I grew up in Kingsville, Texas. Kingsville gave us all they could in the form of extraordinary teachers, coaches, and neighbors. And what you lacked, you gave us the tenacity to overcome. Like a mother bird, you did everything to push me beyond the nest. But while you taught me to aim high and fly, you reminded me to keep small town communities like yours in my peripheral. You are the bittersweet nostalgia of my past, the dreamscape of my present and the vision of my future. You made me inquisitive, but demanding. A person who sees a world of potential and yearns to be the hands that repair.
The glove is more my style. Yes. But what to do with Polly? He is definitely not my style. This is getting old. And he is getting even older and slower. I have to do everything. Not that I want him to do anything to me anyway. I don't see why I need to stay with him any longer. He's not much use anymore. Torshi told me to be patient, that the FSB knows how well I've done, but for now I should keep going, and I shall be very well rewarded for my efforts. It was all so fun and interesting at first. The NRA photo shoots, the parties, conventions. Everyone wanted to date me, the hot girl with the guns and the cool, sophisticated accent. Well, there were perks at first, but the guns, they're not so interesting anymore. And the men certainly are not at all. I'm ready to move on, surely. I can find some other way to be of use in a more independent way. I'm ready to call my own shots. I delivered big time. They've got what they want, and what happens from here on out is not my concern. I'll ask Torshi again. Maybe I can just drop out for a while, get my master's, wait for a different assignment far, far away from here. I wonder, am I ready for the FSB?
Maria, hey, sweet stuff. You had enough for today? Let's go, girl. I'm ready for a little more private target practice. I'm tired, but never too tired for you.
I traveled by bus all the way from Oklahoma to New York because I wanted to be a model. Unfortunately, I didn't even know at the time that you needed to have a freaking portfolio. I wasn't even sure what one was. I felt so incredibly lucky when, while just wandering around the bus station, almost ready to give up, I met this very attractive lady, Tiffany. She was so friendly and so interested in me. I told her why I had come to New York, and she told me how amazing that was because she recruited talent for modeling agencies and told me about this great opportunity that very evening to work a party at the most beautiful mansion in New York City. Where I could be seen by lots of people in the industry, and I would even get paid. She said it was important not to be shy and to take direction, and that I would only have to walk around and look pretty, that it was all about creating a fantasy. Later, when I met Jeffrey Epstein, he asked that I strip down to my underpants. I was a little uncomfortable, but I figured it must be just part of being a model. I was 13. We younger girls were to just float around gracefully like decorations. I met another girl, a little younger than me, Maria. She was so nervous. So I tried to smile confidently, like this is no big deal. Tiffany had this great big collection of wigs, and I tried this glamorous blonde one on. She said I looked beautiful.
Well, it's a job, not the most exciting place I've been, but it'll do for now. I'm still using my linguistic skills here in Georgia. Sure, I'd rather be doing something more meaningful, working somewhere overseas with US Aid or the Peace Corps. Unfortunately, without a college degree, they won't even consider me. Right now, I'm just okay being around my friends, not too far from my mom. She almost keeled over when I told her about the scholarship from Texas A&M, just before I climbed aboard the bus to basic training. Now, I think she understands I wanted to be out in the real world and really wanted to serve my country. For now, I'm safe and comfortable, and with all the insanity going on in the world, that's almost all I want right now. Almost. What's this?
I was wearing the blonde wig when I first noticed Mr. Trump. And unfortunately, he noticed me. He was off to the side watching an orgy as if he were disgusted, but then he gestured for me to come over. And he complimented me, saying I reminded him of his daughter, who was also 13. Then he asked me to give him a hand job. I said I didn't think I was supposed to, but when I looked over at Tiffany, she nodded and said, of course I should comply. So I began to touch him. So sorry, this is, it was a long time ago, but it's still, ugh. So he slapped my hand away. I looked angrily at Tiffany, and she scurried over with a glove, and she said, we girls were not allowed to handle Mr. Trump without a glove.
Must a hero be large and powerful to change the world? Or rather, with the simple act of love, can one change the world? At every level of American society, heroes reveal themselves, regardless of whether or not that particular label is used. Who can say for sure if they've made the right choices? Would I be doing something more worthwhile if I had accepted that scholarship? Gone off to college? Would I have even stuck it out? I've learned so much in the military. I'm sure no college can beat their linguistics programs. I just wish more human resource officers would consider a total package of skills and determination instead of just one check mark next to the some college column. Patience. I'll get there. Decisions. What really matters? I need to think about that someday, but right now, good night, y'all!
What a lovely evening, and your speech was so inspiring. How could I resist getting to know you a little better? I'm so proud of the stand you took for our Second Amendment rights. And that generous NRA donation will go such a long way to ensuring you achieve great things for yourself. And for both our great countries. Oh, excuse me, darling. I must leave you to get home. I have to be at the firing range early for a photo shoot. I'll be tied up all day tomorrow. Oh, and then I have my class. Oh, perhaps we can get together next week in Washington after the prayer breakfast. And please don't forget the handcuffs. They are so much fun, darling.
On the very same evening I walked out with that terrifying yet interesting document describing Russian interference in our elections, uncomfortably stuck in my pants, I caught the evening news. I couldn't believe our piece of shit POTUS fired the FBI director while under investigation by the FBI. I felt so enraged and yet kind of hopeful at the same time. Surely he crossed a line. Fucking Trump ignorance. The most dangerous entry to this country is not immigrants. It's the orange fascist pig we lend to the White House. I find it so hard to believe that enough Americans could suck so bad that a hideous, low-life mobster could actually be elected president. Jeez. Fucking Putin really did it. Damn Russians hacked into our voter registration systems. Well, hopefully this will catch someone's attention and motivate them to do something. It's the least I can do.
I'm very proud of my daughter. Reality joined the Air Force right out of high school because she wanted to serve her country. She's as smart as can be and very athletic. She runs marathons and teaches spin classes and yoga. Reality is extremely compassionate. She volunteers with the disabled people, even ran a 10K race pushing a kid in his wheelchair. She fosters homeless pets. She truly cares about people and animals and is constantly doing whatever she can to make our world a better place. That really is my reality. Yes, she called her father first. She knows he's the calmer one. She told him she'd been arrested and asked if we could come up to take care of her animals. I'm so worried about her. It's so scary. That's all I know right now.
Tiffany told Maria and I that I had to play pretend games to entertain Mr. Trump. So she instructed us to pretend we were maids who got into each other. And then when the boss came home, he was angry and demanded oral sex. I wasn't supposed to have anything to do anything but act frightened and coy. Well, Maria, it was her job to do it. She began, but Trump, he was really mean to her. He called her a whiny little spick and made fun of her, saying that she couldn't do anything right and couldn't even speak English. He said she should be deported and slapped her away. Then demanded I finish. I hadn't done that before. But one glance at Tiffany and I knew I had no choice. He grinned at me. Oh, so creepy. And again, he told me I reminded him of his daughter. Oh, it made me feel so sick. I was terrified that I would throw up. But I managed to finish, and I ran out of the room. After, we always had to check in with Jeffrey before we left, and he wanted to know what happened, what the men liked, and if they said anything interesting. He just laughed when I told him. Then he paid us and dismissed us.
Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, well, I'm visiting from Russia and I would like to know, please. My question will be about foreign politics. If you would be elected as president, what will be your politics, especially as your foreign politics, specifically in the relationship with my country, be? Oh, and do you want to continue the politics of sanctions that are damaging of both economy, or do you have any much better ideas?
Reality was surprised at home by 11 FBI agents with search warrants who told her they wanted to either take her to their headquarters to interview her or do so at home. But it would have to be away from anything they felt was distracting. She told them there was a very small, weird bedroom, but she wasn't comfortable back there because it was creepy. Of course, that was just what they wanted. They took her phone and keys and questioned her for several hours in that small room. They never informed her of any Miranda rights. She felt like she was being held and not free to leave. When she asked permission to use the bathroom, she was accompanied by 2 agents.
I kept looking at it for 3 days. It's not like I was trying to be another Edward Snowden or anything. I figured whatever system we were using had been compromised. Maybe this report would be one more drop in the bucket, but then again, maybe the truth would all just come bubbling out. I guess it all just got to me. Things were pretty awful at work. I even filed a formal complaint about them having Fox News on constantly, you know? Just at least, for God's sake, put on MSNBC, Al Jazeera, or a cute slideshow with people's pets, puppies, kittens, anything. I tried to reason with them to change it once in a while. So there I was, and I still had, 7-8 months left in a job that didn't mean anything to me because it's translating crap from Iran and so boring. I'm really a much better Pashto linguist, so what am I doing translating Farsi? Knowing what was in that document made everything else I was doing seem meaningless. I felt hopeless, seeing all the information that was already being contested back and forth in the public domain, everyone trying to figure it out for so long. More details kept getting released or leaked. So, why isn't this getting out there? Why shouldn't this be public?
Well now, things are really looking up for me and becoming a bit more fun. I am going to a Styx concert with my new cute American man friend, J.D. Gordon. I think he really gets me, and I'm sure I'm going to be getting the goods from him in more ways than one. Anyway, if I go to his birthday party, I'm sure I can recruit a whole new crew of friends and Facebook fans who will also share my enthusiasm for better, closer relations between our countries.
I love my little house. I have this one wall, my favorite, filled with my cards and pictures from my friends and family. It's the place I miss the most. My life. For 11 seriously intimidating FBI agents confronted me at my sweet little home. And now I've never felt so far away. I just can't get over the little things I'm missing already, like teaching yoga and my cycling class, my pets, but they're okay at least.
Anytime Mr. Trump noticed me, he asked me to put on the wig. I tried to avoid him by not wearing it. When he saw me, he would tell me to go get it, and then he would compliment me, saying how much more beautiful I looked. Cringed every time he mentioned Ivanka. One evening, Tiffany greeted me and immediately positioned the wig on my head and said that he had requested something special. She reassured me it was just another role-playing scene, but she seemed to be trying a little too hard to be nonchalant. I would be tied to a bed, but not to worry. I didn't even have to undress, and she said she'd be nearby if there was anything I was uncomfortable with. When Trump came in, he seemed even more angry than usual. He just began roughly touching me, and he ripped my clothes off and raped me. When I asked him to please stop, that I wasn't supposed to have to, that he was hurting me, he slapped me and told me to shut up. Tiffany was saying something in the background too, but that, God, it didn't matter. After, I was crying, and I asked, what if I got pregnant? He laughed, just threw a few bills on the floor, and left.
My freedom, my family, friends, and my time. Even little things we use to define life, like a heartbeat and breath, can't even be put to the test. Say, I'm not dying. Nothing's at stake. Take my pulse, look down my throat, and you'd be planning my wake. This news isn't fake. Nothing left for them to take, and those who awake look away at my mistake. Meanwhile, others trying to take a stand are bowed so far over their heads in the sand. Today, you can tweet, spout off your view. Tomorrow, who knows? Will you be in my shoes? What if the people I gave 6 years to defend got better things to do? Sorry, not sorry. The end. So where's my Calvary, Daddy? Where are all my heroes? I'm ready to be rescued now, anytime. I never pictured myself as a damsel in distress, but if that were an option, I would tolerate some dumb knight in shining armor long enough to... Nah. I remember after 9/11, watching Mr. Rogers with my parents. He would say to focus on the helpers. I think it helped my parents even more to cope, to manage the pain they felt, because they couldn't shield us from the tragedy. I remember seeing that pain in their eyes. Brittany would hug them and tell them it was going to be okay. My dad wanted to be sure we didn't grow up thinking it happened because of any particular religion or race. He did a good job explaining some pretty complex concepts to us and inspiring us to learn more about our big, complex world. I'm going to miss him.
I heard her voice on the tape. She was obviously very frightened. She sounded shaky. We were stunned the first time we saw her in the court with handcuffs and shackles. An armed marshal stayed very close to her at every moment. One reporter later told me that he had covered the Chelsea Manning trial, and she was not shackled or treated in this manner. It was heart-wrenching. We pleaded for her to be able to come home, to wait for her trial, but it was no use. They twisted her social media posts and took them out of context to misrepresent her as a true enemy of the state. She's certainly not the only young or even older woman who has made negative comments about Trump. She was wrongfully charged under the Espionage Act. She never cooperated with a hostile foreign agent or country. She never meant to harm us. Talking on a constantly monitored phone, seeing her in court in the orange jumpsuit, handcuffed and shackled, has been very painful. We have a long road ahead of us.
Now it's so hard to believe my mom isn't even allowed to bring me a freaking book. So ironic after a childhood full of books. My mom works with children, so she remained interested in quality literature for young people a lot longer than my sister and I did.
This has been incredibly hard on all of us, Reality's family, friends, and her supporters. I don't think any family can imagine something like this. It's changed us. It's changed everything about our entire family. We can't even imagine family vacations, knowing we can't have her with us or even touch her. This is our new normal, every day, just trying to find ways to support her and support each other. My husband and I live in Texas, so we've had to maintain a second home here in Georgia to be close to her. At least as long as we can keep money in her account, she can call us. If she doesn't call every day, I panic. I feel it's so important because at least briefly, she can focus on something else. We've had no physical contact with our daughter for over a year. We just see her through a glass. And even in the courtroom, she's not allowed to look back at us. It's been a very difficult year. It feels like she's so intentionally targeted. She's not a flight risk. Even in the military, she never even served outside the United States.
I wonder, could it be my jail is worse than Alcatraz? I remember in the movie, the Birdman wheeling around a cart full of books. We could use a Birdman in here. By the way, I saw a bird. I think it was last week. It flew overhead. I wouldn't have even noticed a few months ago. Shit. I mean, a year ago. My access to books is dependent on the mood of my jailers. Similarly, my ability to get outside occasionally. Seems like everything in here is a privilege, not a right. I think the hardest part is knowing I could be doing something more worthwhile. And it's all I want to do now. So much more. Something that truly matters. I want to be out there helping someone. Somehow. Not just sitting here, daydreaming. I feel like I'm in that scene in Christmas Carol. Marley's ghost looking out the window at all the suffering, unable to make any difference.
Well, that's it. We did it. America gets a Republican, Donald Trump, for the next presidential term. A great supporter of gun rights for all and the restoration of wonderful relations with Russia. Congratulations to everyone, everywhere. No, I know it is 100% certain for real. Trust me. Even if he loses everything else, won't matter. He got the necessary number of votes. I am so proud when I think how I certainly did my part to help your cause and my beloved country's cause. coffee. Here's to us. And here's to Russia. Oh, my darling. I just can't wait for the inauguration and all those parties, dinners, and dancing. Torshi told me, no worries. We're going to have tickets to all the best events.
I was really looking forward to my trial, till I realized how little they would let me say. Now a trial doesn't even seem worthwhile, and the risks are even higher. My mom has to walk a fine line. We all do. They listen to everything and use anything that sounds suspicious or to say I'm just a spoiled brat. Not that it should be the be-all end-all, but I am a veteran. I'm proud of my 6 years of service. My Air Force Commendation Medal was earned, and now more than ever, well-deserved. After all, I aided in the capture of 650 enemy combatants, 600 enemies killed in action, identifying 900 high-value targets, and, now most infamously, for exposing Russian interference in our elections. Ta-da!
This is a hard ordeal for any ordinary family to go through. We were hoping she could get out on bail, and we're ready to put up everything we own. It didn't matter. I quit my job to come up here, to be near her, so at least she knows I'm nearby. She tries to stay strong for us. At least now some of her artwork can be marketed, so that gives her an incentive to stay busy. She really enjoys her mail. She's such an inspiring person. When you talk to her, she picks you up. I've studied similar cases involving multiple charges that seem so much worse. She has only one, yet she's the only one who was denied bail. She was even denied an opportunity to work with her attorneys in private. All her conversations are monitored. She's being treated so differently, so isolated behind those walls. They wouldn't allow her attorneys to subpoena people to submit the information necessary to mount a defense. Everything, our very lives, are on hold until the trial, which now is set for October. So we're just holding our breath.
I couldn't believe we were finally going through with it. And that Tiffany had come back into my life, but this time she was really helping me as my eyewitness. I couldn't handle the idea that this sick, cruel man could become the president of her freaking country. It was unthinkable. I didn't really care about the money. I contacted some stomp Trump Republicans who really seemed to care. They made a video of me telling my story and showed it to the top Republican leadership. But when they found they couldn't stop Trump, dropped me like a hot potato. But I just didn't go away. I believed that if I didn't do something, we would have this rapist in the White House, and I would feel horrid every single day. So I took it upon myself to find someone, a real professional lawyer, to help. Eventually, a nice guy, a patent lawyer from New Jersey, responded to my ad. Then he found me someone with the kind of experience that fit my case. Next thing I knew, I had an entire friggin' legal team. I even got to meet this famous women's rights lawyer, Lisa Bloom. She wrote a wonderful article about me and my case, and it was awesome. And in so many ways, it felt like when I first met Tiffany so long ago. She tried to help me feel more confident after all these months of ups and downs, this and that. We are moving forward. We had court dates, and Trump would have to be deposed. I really liked the sound of that. In spite of a few news articles, I was able to keep my identity secret, but I knew that Trump was aware of what I was doing. And it made me feel really proud, yet terrified at the same time. Then Lisa told me it was time to take the next big step. A press conference that would be broadcast live. No more hiding. Then the horrible phone calls and messages start coming. Oh, shit. What now?
Well, hallelujah. The Senate Intelligence Committee released their report confirming that our intelligence community unanimously agreed Russians are meddling in our presidential election. Of course, Trump continues to deny Putin's interference and constantly claims there was absolutely no collusion. Putin's puppet even had a private meeting with his puppet master. Unfucking believable. You can't even make this crap up. I try to keep everything in perspective. Like, it isn't personal. Except, it is. Because I am the person stuck in this freaking jail for leaking a document proving Russian election meddling over a year ago.
I am Maria Butina, and I am from Russian Federation, and I came here to represent Russian people's right to bear arms, a Russian non-profit organization that fights for our rights to own guns, like Americans do. You have done so much to help me feel so welcomed, including to see the most wonderfully greatest ever inauguration in the entire world, ever. And to the most fabulous parties, I want to give a big thank you all on behalf of myself and my most magnificent, strong handler, Mr. Torsion, and to you for having been so very kind and helpful to me, and especially to helping me to enjoy your much better, most friendly backdoor communications. And thank you too. And as I was saying, between our greatest peoples in the world, with all my heart, thank you, Mr. Wayne LaPierce, Mr. Davy Kane, Mr. Ricky Santorum, Mr. Davy Clark, Mr. Scotty Walker, Mr. Bobby Jindal, and JP Gordy. Oh, and of course, I have much appreciation to Mr. Donnie Trump and his lovely son, Donnie Jr., and my very special friend, Mr. Polly Erickson. And as you can see, I only wear empty holster, but sadly, in my country, always is just empty. We do not have the same rights as you do. So I am here to study your laws and freedoms and to build a bridge, or backdoor channel if you prefer, between our peoples who have such good, important values. So, now let us all pray together.
My reality? This is it. So now really, Haven't lots of us called Trump an orange fascist? Who doesn't occasionally say, darn, I hate my fucked up country? Myself? I only say stuff like that 3 or 4 times a day, so I'm far from being a radical. But man, if I'm thinking of that fat, orange, Trump ignorance when they give me that polygraph test, well, fuck me. I'm gonna fail. People are often surprised my childhood was pretty ordinary and my name is not that strange. I was named for a t-shirt my dad saw at a LeMay's class. It said, I coached a real winner. That's what he wanted. Jeez, I hope I haven't let him down too bad. As a child, I had a world map on the ceiling over my bed. I have always wanted to travel to make a difference in the world. Now, I'm worried about myself, of course, but still, I think I'm even more worried about our world.
I just couldn't do it. So many threats years ago. Even more now. I tried. But I can never forget when Trump told Tiffany and I he would do the same to us like he'd done to Maria if we told anybody. He said he would kill us and even find and come after our families. Epstein warned us that Trump could and would do just as he said. We never saw Maria again. Suddenly, it all came back to me. So awful. We had already done an interview for the Daily Mail, complete with photographs, and I begged for them not to publish it. Unfortunately, it was too late. It wound up being published the very same day I backed out. They couldn't stop it. More than ever, I just wanted to go somewhere that I could be invisible again. I really thought I would be safe and it would all be okay. But even that big, shiny office with all those smart, professional people, he was still able to reach out and get to me. Even Lisa looked strained that day and disappointed. She said she understood. It was a terrible day all the way around. I don't think it was just us, that team. Trump got to and threatened because I saw the Daily Mail printed a retraction a few days later, proclaiming in bold letters that I had made it all up and Donald Trump was not involved whatsoever.
My sister came to visit. Oh boy, Brady, I screwed up. I don't know if I'm getting out of this one. I don't laugh, but I really miss eating my kale. I feel terrible, bloated, so much white bread. I don't want to sound like a diva. I know that so many have it much worse, like the refugees who have nothing, but they still manage to go on from one day to the next. Okay? I don't think, I don't really, I hadn't considered the consequences. Not even a second. It just seemed like it was the right thing to do. Honestly, I thought it would somehow help set things right again. Maybe I should act more like I actually did something wrong. Right, I know. Orange is the new black. You think? Sure, I'm definitely playing the cute blonde card. Just smile and be cute. Like, I'm going to. Fuck. I'm going to cry a lot.
It's been one hell of a year, but we will never give up. And we will never forget how much you mean to us. And we will always be so grateful for your service. Stay strong, my beautiful girl. I'm staying strong for you too. Bye, sweetie. Don't worry about us. My hopes? I hope she will be vindicated. I hope they will declassify the document that she's accused of releasing. I just want everyone to keep an open mind. When you're charged with espionage, they intentionally paint you in a light, that you're a traitor to your country. But if people pay careful attention to what she's actually been accused of doing, they will see things differently. She did not jeopardize our national security. She did not sell secrets to another country. She did not conspire with anyone. She is not a spy nor a traitor. My greatest fear is that she will be forgotten.
Well, they really tried. They really did. My mom did everything she could, left her job to devote pretty much her entire life to my cause, and quite brilliantly, may I add. But 41 rejected subpoenas and 75 motions to declassify relevant materials denied later, there I sat. So I took the plea deal. I admitted that I took the document and shared it, and I knew I wasn't supposed to. I believe that this was the only way I could receive anything even close to a fair sentence. I simply had no viable alternatives, considering the espionage charge. There was no way to defend myself or explain my actions before a jury of my peers. However, I know in my heart, and I feel sincere gratitude in knowing my friends, family, and supporters believe in me and understand that I absolutely acted with good intentions. Someday I hope that when we and our government come to terms with all that has happened, maybe then I'll be pardoned. That would be cool all the way around, because it would mean that our country and our world are in a much better place than we are currently.
I am sitting at the table, I am taking off the mask. I am demanding justice, is that too much to ask?